Released in 1997 in arcades and later ported in 1998 to the Sony PlayStation, we have Namco's Tekken 3. Me and my roommates played the shit out of this when it first came out. We played it morning, noon, and night because it was f***ing fun. It was a good time to beat up your opponents, your friends, your roommates, your enemies, anybody. It was a good time. Now, as you've probably guessed by the title, Tekken 3 is the third installment of the Tekken series. And although Tekken 1 and 2 were both very good games, very good fighting games, Namco overhauled their hardware for Tekken 3. And this is the first game of the Tekken series on that new overhauled hardware. And it was wonderful. It was a wonderful fighting game. If you're a fan of that genre and you haven't played Tekken 3, you owe it to yourself to give it a try. Now, as you can see, there's space for 21 different characters on the screen, but I haven't unlocked any yet with the save data that I have in this machine. So you're seeing the original selection of the 10 that you have in the game right out of the box. And you have to unlock the other characters as you go along and play different modes. And I'm showing you the team battle mode, which was a pretty cool feature. My roommates and I used to really get down playing some team battle. And with that, you pick how many people you want on the team, and you select the appropriate number of characters that you like. For this first demonstration, I chose a team of 3 and picked 3 random characters that I used off and on back in the day. King was one of my favorites.
Wins. Fight.
When Tekken 3 first came out, it was very well received. Just about any major industry source that reviewed it gave it an extremely good review. I think EGM gave it a 10 out of 10, which was the first time they gave any game a 10 out of 10 in 3 years or something like that, which is simply amazing. And Tekken 3 for the PlayStation 1 is generally regarded as the best fighting game on the system. And I find that it holds up very well, even today. But best game on the system, I don't know. I was always a little more partial to the Soul Blade series, but that's just me. Although the graphics look a little bit blocky and blurry for today's standards, they are actually very good. They're very nice and crisp, especially for the PlayStation 1. I mean, they really push some of the graphics to the limit here with this game. The sound design is pretty nice. The music is appropriate. It's not by any means award-winning, but it's appropriate music. And the voice samples in it are clear and understandable, which is always important.
Yoshi wins.
Now let me take a minute to talk about gameplay control. And it's pretty fluid and pretty intuitive in this game, and not too hard to grasp. You have on the PlayStation controller your 4-directional D-pad on the left, and on the right you have the 4 buttons, the square, triangle, X, and O. And the square and triangle are left and right punch, and the X and O are left and right kick, respectively. The shoulder buttons, R's 1 and 2 and L 1 and 2, aren't used in this game. And you got to remember that back in the early days of the PlayStation, it was one of the first controllers to have all these multifunctional buttons with like double shoulder buttons and things like that. And that was fairly intimidating for a novice gamer to just pick up a controller like that. You just see all these buttons everywhere, and you just get confused, and you get a little flustered. That makes this game very approachable because it only uses the 4 buttons on the right and the D-pad. So it's pretty easy for a novice non-gamer to step in and pick it up for a couple of rounds and have a good time with it, which was actually a complaint by some people. Said it was a little too easy to just mash buttons and kick some ass. But I personally wouldn't say that that's a negative thing. To make a game more approachable by simplifying button commands is actually a good thing, I think. I think games should be approachable by novices, at least for a little bit of fun here and there. This game really did have some wonderful background details. I mean, look at the playing arena and the detail in the background, the sky, the trees. It really does look nice, especially considering this is on the PlayStation 1. Now, as I said earlier, I'm playing here on the Team Battle mode, and you can select up to 8 players on your team in this mode. But there were a bunch of other modes you can play in this game. There's the standard arcade mode, the verse mode, which is just a one-on-one versus, Team Battle, which you see, survival mode, and time attack mode, and the Tekken Force mode, as well as a practice mode. But let's be honest, all the one-player modes are okay, but the real reason to play this game is to sit down with a bunch of friends and kick the shit out of each other in whatever mode you can play that you feel like playing, whether it's verse or team battle. You got to remember, this is before the days of online gaming, so you had to actually sit down with a group of friends and play them. So if you didn't have much going on a Thursday night, it was always a good time with a couple of friends to crack open a couple beers and pop in Tekken 3. And I do have to say that Tekken 3 and some brewskis, definitely fun. Definitely a killer combination. Just make sure you drink responsibly and don't drive after you had a few. Fight! And there you have it. Tekken 3 for the PlayStation. And if you have a PlayStation, or a PlayStation 2, or a PlayStation 3, and you're a fan of fighting games, I definitely recommend picking this one up. You can find it for pretty cheap. I think I paid about $5 for it. I found it online, and it was a pretty popular game, so it's readily available in online stores that carry retro gaming stuff. I'm Dommy from Classic Games Revisited. Until next time.